A Stocking in Rhyme by Jenny June Crowley. Read for LibriVox.org by Patricia Oakley. To knit a stocking, needles 4. Cast on 3 needles and no more. Each needle stitches 8 and 20, then 1 for seam stitch will be plenty. For 20 rounds your stitch must be 2 plain, 2 purl alternately, except the seam stitch, which you do once purl, once plain the whole way through. A finger plain you next must knit, ere you begin to narrow it. But if you like the stocking long, 2 fingers' length will not be wrong. And then the narrowings to make. 2 stitches you together take each side the seam, then 8 rounds plain, before you narrow it again. 10 narrowings you'll surely find will shape the stocking to your mind. Then 20 rounds knit plain must be, and stitches 65 you'll see. These just in half you must divide, with 32 on either side. But on one needle there must be seam stitch in middle, 33. 1/2 on needles 2 you place, and leave alone a little space. The other with the seam in middle to manage right is now my riddle. Backward and forward you must knit, and always purl the backward bit. But seam stitch, purl and plain you know, and slip the first stitch every row. When 30 rows you thus have done, each side the seam knit 2 in 1 each third row, until sure you feel that 40 rows are in your heel. You then begin the heel to close. For this, choose one of the plain rows, knit plain to seam, then 2 in 1, 1 plain stitch more must still be done. Then turn your work, purl as before the seam stitch 2 in 1, 1 more, then turn again, knit till you see where first you turned a gap will be. Across it knit together 2, and don't forget 1 plain to do. Then turn again, purl as before, and sew till there's a gap no more. The seam stitch you no longer mind, that with the heel is left behind. When all the heel is quite closed in, to knit a plain row you begin, and at the end you turn no more, but round and round knit as before. For this, on a side needle take the loops the first slip stitches make. With your heel needle knit them plain, to meet the old front half again. This on one needle knit should be, and then you'll have a needle free to take up loops the other side, and knit round plain, and to divide the back parts evenly in 2. Off the heel needle some are due. Be careful that you count the same on each back needle, knit round plain, but as the foot is much too wide, take 2 together at each side, on the back needle, where they meet, the front to make a seam quite neat. Each time between knit 1 plain round, till stitches 64 are found, and the front needle does not lack as many as on both the back. You next knit 56 rounds plain, but do not narrow it again. 'Twill then be long enough, and so begin to narrow for the toe. Your long front row knit plainly through, but at its end knit stitches 2 together, and together catch 2 first in the next row to match. Then to the other side knit plain, half round, and do the same again. That is, 2 last together catch, 2 first in the front row to match. At first knit 4 plain rounds between, then 2, then 1, until 'tis seen you've knit enough to close the toe, and then decrease in every row, until to stitches 8 you've brought. Then break the thread off, not too short, and as these stitches 8 you do, each time your end of thread pull through, then draw up all to close it tight, and with a darning needle bright your end of thread securely run, and then, hurrah! The stocking's done. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.